Another hello to everyone, because we've already been live this morning in the Ask the Expert series, and now we've got a beautiful member spotlight with Valerie Redman. Valerie, I am so grateful that you're here with me today. So first of all, thank you so much for coming. I hope it's been an amazing day for you so far.
It has been, and thank you for having me, Marie.
Oh, thank you, thank you. So I want to quickly share with everybody listening to this right now why I asked Valerie to come live with me on camera. And Valerie is one of our members in the group Loving Love After Loss, who has been sitting on the sidelines for a while, watching, taking it all in, and with no judgment at all, not being very active in a group. Yet then all of a sudden something happened, something shifted, and I noticed you stepping up in the group, and all of a sudden, out of the blue, there was this beautiful shout out that really touched my heart, where you shared a picture in a group with all the beautiful merchandise that you have bought for some close friends or family members. Is that correct?
Yes, my very dear friend and my stepmom.
Yeah. And I was so touched by the words that you shared with it, and the beautiful photos, but also the words. And I remember I sent you a message saying thank you so much for that. And then you wrote me this really long message about the impact Loving Life After Loss had on you, on your healing journey. And that really touched me. I was so blown away. I did not expect that. I literally just reached out to you to say thank you for this beautiful shout out. I love when it happens so unprompted from members, and all of a sudden I come in a group and I see this and I'm like, oh, it really, it makes my day as well, because, I often provide content in a group, or we share interviews, or we share stories, and until you hear the feedback, you often don't know what impact the work that we do, the love that we spread in the group has on people's lives. So after I read your amazing feedback, I was so touched that I said to you, would you be willing to chat about that in front of the camera? Because you're one of those members that hasn't been through any of the healing journeys or programs or retreats with us. However, you've been in a group for a while, and I thought that is such a beautiful example, because often people say, well, I can't do it, or I can't afford it, or I don't have the time, or. And I always say it doesn't matter. There is so much for everyone. And you are one of those examples who haven't been to any of the programs yet have had such an impact. And I'd love to hear that from you. So if you don't mind, please introduce yourself to the audience, and please share a little bit about your story of grief and loss, and then we'll talk about what impact it had on you, and how you came through to healing. The stage is yours.
Thank you, Marie. Hi, everyone. My name is Valerie Redman, and I live in the United States in New Hampshire, and I had a few losses over the last few years that I guess I never ever expect them. It's just one of those things. The first one was in 2015, and then not even a year later, I had lost my godfather, I was very close to him. A year after I lost my godfather, I lost my husband. My husband and I were married for 33 and a half years.
Wow.
32 and a half years. We were together 33 and a half. And then shortly after I lost him, I lost my dad. And through each loss, I thought, well, there's something wrong with me, because I'm not, each one hit me in a different way. The grieving process was different for each one of them. None of them were expected. They were all just very sudden. And I found myself stuck in what I call like a widowhood globe. And I thought, well, I guess this is what life is. This is my life. After I lost my husband and being a widow, that loss was so different than the others. And I felt like I was stuck in this grief globe, and couldn't get out of it. Didn't really know how to get out of it. And I started doing research and a lot of research, and I came across your movement, and I learned so much. I learned a lot about grief,
Mm,
that we're not stuck in grief.
mhm.
Um, that was the biggest thing I had to learn is I don't have to be stuck in grief, but I can learn how to still love life because
Mm.
grief and happiness can coexist.
Yeah, I love that because I never actually asked you how you found our group. So you just found it online on Google search, is that right?
It was it just was floating across my Facebook. Maybe I
I
think
love
it
it.
might have been because yeah, I think it was because I had researched so many groups and
Hmm.
I got out of them pretty quickly. And it's one of those things, I guess, where it kind of Facebook kind of matches things, and I saw this
Yeah,
one and I was like,
the
oh, I like
algorithm.
that.
Love it.
Yeah, and I'm like,
I'd like to pick you up on that though, if that's okay, because I feel this is the exact thing that people need to hear that are in that space and don't know where to go and what to do. And you just said, I got out of most of them pretty quickly. What is it that got you out of them, and what is it that kept you here?
I didn't feel like it was a safe environment. Some of the groups,
Mm,
I didn't wasn't like the environment didn't feel safe. I
mm,
felt like there was a lot of you were preyed upon by
mm,
they there wasn't much protection for the members, and I feel like there was a lot of people coming in preying on widows and stuff, and
mm,
it wasn't comfortable, and
mm.
it just didn't seem like a safe environment.
Yeah. I never heard that. So I really love that you share that so openly because I I remember we had one particular gentleman come into this group one day and my alarm bells went off and I gave him the benefit of the doubt, but I kept watching him. And then, the second post, he was out of the group and banned because there is like, there's only so much we can do. And I'm very, very blessed that we have our team of moderators, a beautiful mod squad, how they call themselves, and everybody just always keeps an eye on the group. And I have members that are not even in our mod squad reaching out to me and flagging people and say, Marie, just watch out, I've just seen that, I don't think it belongs in a group. And I love that even members now in Loving Love After Loss jump on a bandwagon to keep everyone safe. And I love this is such a beautiful feel to me hearing that, so thank you for sharing that. What made it differently? What was the help that you received through Loving Love After Loss? Because your feedback touched me so deeply and was so beautiful. So I'd love for you to share that with everybody else as well. What you got out of being here.
Yeah. So I definitely I've gotten a lot out of it just from watching all the different well, we have the Sparks of Joy, we have the Up Spiral Grief interviews that I watch.
Hmm.
Those are very impactful, meaningful mindsets. And then the emails, I get daily emails, which everything's just so uplifting. And I learned that I can be strong. Grief, even though we're in grief or we're going through that phase, it teaches you to be strong. I've learned to be strong. I definitely have opened my heart, in my mind, to the hope and the healing and the happiness of everything. That life, even though a lot of the happiness, a lot of it might have diminished or might have kind of like been taken from me, I still
Mm,
learned that there's so much happiness in life.
mm,
I learned that living, I don't know if I want to use the word moving forward, moving on, but just moving on
mm,
without my husband. I know I've had a lot of losses in 3 years, but
mm.
in a 3 year period. Um,
Yeah.
I think of my husband and being a widow. And before I joined this group, before I became a member, I always had that guilty feeling.
Hmm.
Um, I always felt, oh, I can't change the colors of our bedroom. That these were his colors, the chocolate and the
Hmm.
brown, the chocolate with the brown,
Hmm.
or well, I can't do that. That's then because I felt like I was diminishing everything I had with him.
Yeah.
And through the group, I've seen so many awesome posts, where people share what they're doing, and you know, um, one of the biggest things I learned was change up the space a little bit, revamp it. Revamp your space and stuff. And I did. So I got rid of the chocolates and I have the teals and the blues and the pinks in my room. And
Hmm.
um, I learned that it's okay that to do that stuff, you're not taking away from what you had. That
Hmm.
it's okay. It
Yeah.
it doesn't mean I had anything left with my husband.
Mm.
Um, I just have to, I have to accept the happiness that's there. One of the things that hit me hard, it was just about, I think it was this week, was there was a post of finding something you find joy in. It had to do with color. You had done a quick video. Pick your favorite color.
Hmm.
And I'm thinking to myself, well, okay, I'm going to pick my favorite color, but then what am I going to do? So I kept listening to you, and my favorite color is blue. Blue and teals are
Hmm.
my favorite. And
Oh, love
pink
it.
comes, yep, I love those colors, and pink comes after those.
Hmm.
And I thought, okay, so find joy in them. And then I looked at my room and I'm like, that's it. It's right here in my room. Because my room was all blues and pinks and teals now.
Yeah.
And you never thought of it that way. Find those little things that you find joy in.
Mm.
So, a lot of that. And another thing I learned too that is this is really huge is grief is not permanent. I loved
Mm.
your refrain of it where you had mentioned that grief is think of it as a visitor.
Yeah.
Grief isn't permanently. It's grief is a visitor. We're not stuck in it. We don't have to be
Mm.
stuck.
Yeah.
Um, because I think society sometimes has us feeling like, yeah, you got to be stuck in there. You got to be stuck there. You can't leave that spot. Um, I can go on and on. I learned the one thing that I loved, and I was really this was my I was really guilty of this. I always said, I have a hole in my heart. I have a hole in my heart, and I
Mm.
and I heard you mention in a video. Think of it as rephrase that to I'm holding space for my husband.
Mm.
I'm holding
Yeah.
a place in my heart. I don't have a hole in my heart.
Mm.
Because it's like they didn't leave us. They they passed they passed away. They passed on. They died. They didn't leave us. They didn't just
Mm.
wake up someday and say, hey, by the way, Val, I'm gonna leave. This is my last kiss with you. It wasn't intended,
I'm
so
so impressed. You're like the full on A+ student here. Like we didn't talk about any of that in our pre-chat, and all of a sudden everything comes out as
I
in
think that's
this is a
worse.
massive wrap up of everything that I've done in the past few weeks and months. And I'm like, you've really watched every single thing I've said, and
Um,
oh my god, I love it. It
I
really
journal,
touches
and
me. Thank you. I feel like the proudest teacher with the A+ student right now. This is so brilliant. I love it. Thank you.
I love to journal, and I watch. I think I've been following Loving Life, um, Loving Life After Loss, probably almost 2.5 years now. So
Wow.
I go way back to my journal, but I didn't go so far back. I took the most recent writings that I wrote in my journal, and so a lot of this is in the last couple of months, maybe a couple of
Mhm.
weeks. But it's just to let people know these are the takeaways. And I know it sounds crazy, but I wouldn't have thought of any of that if I was just sitting by myself, like I had been for the first 2 years after my husband passed, the first 22 months.
Mhm.
That's what I did. I just sat in my room and just thought, okay, this is my life. This is where I'm at. This is where I'm staying. I
Mm.
wouldn't have figured all this out by myself. It was just someone, that somebody, there was a post, and one of the things that feared, and it's going to sound crazy, but my biggest fear was going to the dump by myself. I had
Mhm.
never done the dump run. My
Wow.
husband always did the dump run. He always took
Mhm.
the trash. I went with him,
Mhm.
but he always did the dump run.
Mhm.
I wouldn't know, how do I pull the car up? Where do I, what if I hit the thing over there or something? And somebody put a thing in their post fairly recently. There was a post where you had started the post, and those little things. It was the thing about the little things that matter. And
Mhm.
somebody, like, someone's husband had left a note, your lunch is in the fridge. You had
Yeah.
one that your husband Rob had wrote for you, and
Hmm.
then someone in the comments wrote something about the trash, and I laughed
Hmm.
because that was my biggest fear. See,
Yeah.
it's okay. So now I'm a widow. I mean, sure, I've got kids and stuff, but they have lives. I can't say,
Yeah.
hey, guys, put your life on hold on trash day, because you got to go to the dump. You know, they're not going to put their life on hold and like, oh yeah, mom said the dump is on Saturday, so we can't do anything. We have to go do the dump. So I have to learn just that first time. You have to learn that first time of everything. Your first
Mm,
event, first wedding, family events,
mm.
the
That's
first
big.
dump runs, all that stuff. You experience a lot of first times
Yeah.
um, that you have to go through by yourself now because your partner's not there with you.
Mm,
And that was my biggest fear was the dump.
yeah.
So seeing that in someone's post just recently, I just laughed. It just brought so much joy and happiness. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm not being one.
I love
um,
this so much that you share this, Valerie, because often people do sit on the sidelines for a long time in a group without interacting, without saying anything. And I always encourage them to do that. It's fine. There is no judgment, there's no expectations. I want people to feel safe that when they share because they want to and they feel ready. But I do want to pick up what you just said there. When somebody does share, whenever you share anything, you always give other permission to do the same. And you would always have such a beautiful effect on other people. Like you just said, I felt, oh my God, it's not just me going through that. So whenever we do, find that courage to share something or comment or just like something, it is really that we are not alone in this. And that is really the number one thing that I wanted to highlight here. I love that you said that. It really spoke to you. This is, it's not just me, and it is often just the little things, and it makes such a difference when you realize you're not going through that alone.
yeah, yeah.
Mm.
It's been amazing following this journey with you, with your movement. It made a huge difference. I
I'm
mean,
so grateful to hear that. If you don't mind, you shared something with me, and I asked you in the private message a couple of weeks ago. I said, "Would you?" Or last week, even I don't even know how long it's been now. And I said, "Would you mind sharing this in our interview?" And you said, "No, absolutely. That's fine." And I loved the story because you sent me a sort of before and after picture, like what you looked like at
yeah,
the beginning of your journey, and then recently, and I loved the picture, and it's actually the picture I took for this very interview. So you'll see it in the beautiful cover photo that we have for this interview. Would you mind sharing the background story to this
yeah.
picture? I
So
love it.
my husband passed the day after Christmas, December 2017.
Mm,
Um, so I, before I learned how to move forward with my life, I
mhm,
basically lived in my room. I mean,
mm,
I worked remotely. I set up my office in my room, and that's where I spent 24 hours a day. Other than just going
mm,
out to get my coffee and going to take a shower, I would live in my room.
mm,
I never really went out of the house. If I did, it was to do errands, to go grocery shopping, the post office, things like that. Um, I was stuck in that world, and I never even knew what a selfie was. And then I just by chance I had met somebody, and I had met somebody. It was about 23 months after I had lost my husband.
mhm,
Um, and I actually made a note of this. Um, it was by chance. It was a meeting by chance that
mhm,
developed into just an amazing friendship.
mhm,
Um, however, I thought that friendship was going to come to a halt because I wasn't leaving my home. And the reference during the conversation that came up was I had a heavy heart. Um, be- a heavy heart because when I lost my husband, my Facebook page literally became I don't know how to refer uh, um, a ceremonial for him. Every
mhm,
single thing. on there was anything I could think of that was a reflection of my husband and our life together. Songs.
Mm,
I would
yeah.
post a video of a song and I would write a story. Why did I choose this song today?
Mm,
Um, and a lot of it wasn't all happy. It was a lot of sad, and I just was not able to move forward with my life. I mean, I was still
mm,
sleeping, but I never touched his side of the bed. His side of the bed stayed the same. You know, his
mm.
bathrobe stayed there, everything. And this person said, you know, you need to get out. You need to enjoy life. I don't care if you have to go. You go to a cafe, have a cup of coffee, go to lunch. You don't have to go with anyone. Go by yourself. But until I see that picture of you sitting there having a coffee, out and about, enjoying life, loving life again, I'm not coming back here to visit with you. And I thought, and I'm like, he sounds serious. You know, my friend really sounds serious. And he's like, it, and I think that he was. I think it was a serious thing. So I never did go out for my coffee. I never did go out to lunch or anything, but I did take a selfie. I got my hair. I dolled myself up because you saw the picture. You saw the before picture, and I I just got all dolled up, did my hair, did my makeup, you know, threw on some really nice clothing and stuff, and I thought, okay, I'm gonna take a selfie. Maybe this will do. And I sent it out, and I'm like, will this do? And it worked. We maintained it, but but it led to a dangerous thing because then next thing I realized is this is great. I really love doing my hair and putting my makeup on and stuff. Next thing I know is taking pictures. I have probably about 3,000 something pictures that I've taken of selfies, and just putting myself together, and because I didn't care about my appearance anymore. I would take a shower
Mm,
and that's it. My hair would just dry. I wouldn't put any effort into my hair. I wouldn't put any
yeah.
mascara on. I would throw my bathrobe
Mm,
back on because I work from home. And it's
yeah.
I just didn't have that motivation, you know,
Mm,
to go through with the day. And
yeah.
so that was fun because then I'm like, oh, this is good. I took my first selfie and it just, yeah, it was great.
I love it. I love it so much. Like when you sent it to me, I love the photo already. But then when you shared the story, I'm like, oh my God, I'm so grateful that you share it here as well. And I don't see it as something dangerous at all. I think it's great that you do that. I think that's great that you got a little bit hooked on that and do it all the time now. This is beautiful, Valerie. You know, when you think about the before and after, where your whole Facebook page was all about just, you know, sadness and
Oh,
that absence of it rather than the joy and the living your life. And I think you are just such a wonderful example that all of that can coexist. And that is my biggest belief. You know, there can be the sad moments, but there can be joy as well. And life is all for the living. You know, I always say to people, if you're here, there's a reason for it. So please make the most of it. And you are such a beautiful, shining, glowing, flourishing example of that. That it was such an honor to have you here. But before we conclude this interview, I would love to know, is there anything that you would like to say to people who are either sitting on a fence or not even in the group yet? Because we will share this interview on the YouTube channel and on our podcast channel as well, and on LinkedIn and all the platforms that we have. So for me, the message that I would like to have out there, I don't want this to come from my heart. I want this to come from your heart because you were the one that found our group on her own, that came into our group, and that had such a beautiful positive effect. So you would know what it feels like when you come into a group and you're not sure what to expect and you're not sure whether you should go in or not, or you had quite a few negative experiences around groups already that are in the space of grief, in the space of widowhood, maybe, you know. So I'd love to hear that from your own heart, from your own words. What would you like to say to people sitting on the fence, sitting on the sideline, not knowing whether to join or to interact? This I'd love to hear from you.
um, I strongly urge anyone who has gone through a loss, even if they haven't, even just being in the group and just because maybe they didn't suffer a loss, but they can help maybe by seeing how the group interacts and what we learn from each other, um,
Mm.
they can help someone that's going through this. Um,
Mm.
it's amazing because honestly, when I lost my husband, I wouldn't and I couldn't ever believe in loving life after loss. It wasn't until I came into this group and I saw and I followed all the podcasts, the videos, the posts, just all the different interviews, the Up Spiral Grief interviews. Um,
Mm.
when you listen to those, it really it's a whole new perspective. You realize grief is not it's not a globe and it's not a hole in your heart. And you learn that, I learned it through this group. Um, I learned it because I always thought, I was with him since I was 17 years old. How do I pick up and move on? What do other people do? How are other people doing it? And I learned all that through this group, how everyone
Mm.
does it. Um, it's another thing too that when it was in my journal, one of the things that I wrote down is the road. That grief is it's not the end of the road. It's a detour. It's not like the end. It's a detour. It's just a detour, and
Yeah.
we're gonna spin back around.
Mm.
And that again, so that's why I urge people to join the group because I wouldn't have thought of it that way. I wouldn't have ever
Mm.
guessed that, if I weren't involved in this group, I wouldn't have seen that. Um, I wouldn't have seen it. Um,
Incredible.
and I had I have a poster that Sparks of Joy. What a great! There's some really cool stuff on that site that you have. But this particular poster was on there's the two designs, and this one was the big heart. And at the bottom of the heart was a tiny, tiny little spider hanging at the
Hmm.
bottom of the heart. And I remember looking at it, and I said to my son, he asked where I had gotten it from, and I said I said I purchased it from the Loving Life After Loss has a merchandise site, and this
Hmm.
poster just really struck me. And
Mm.
he's like, we noticed that together. And I said, well, wait a minute, why is there a spider hanging? And he went into this theory. He said, well, Mom, because they lose their webs, they become broken. The webs are sort of a spider's lifeline, trapping insects for food. They help them travel through their journey of life from one place to place, and from place to place, they protect them. The webs protect them in their space of dwelling because they live in their web. If their web becomes broken, they lose their lifeline. They create a new one and they continue moving forward into their new journey in life. So that poster is hanging outside of my bedroom, and I
Oh.
see it every morning. Wake up, he sees it every time he goes up those stairs, and
Hmm.
we look at that, and that's really what it is. It's really moving forward into our new journey in life. We lost Losing my husband was like losing my lifeline. He's all I had since
Mm.
he's who I've ever been with since I was 17 at that time of my life. And when you have almost 34 years together, you
Mm.
lose, you feel like you lost your lifeline. Um, I felt that way when I lost my dad too. But I've
Yeah.
learned that we're moving forward in our new journey in life.
Mm.
Um, I wouldn't have had that perspective if I were not involved in this group, and certainly if I did not see that poster.
Oh,
I did not have that poster hanging up, which I look
I
at
love
every
it.
day.
I love
Um,
this so much, seriously, because first of all, I started the merchandise line just for the reason that people who come to the retreat, I give them a t-shirt to wear because I think it's such a beautiful uh, gift and a beautiful takeaway that they can still wear after. Like I love spoiling my guests at the retreat, full stop, so they get their little gift bag, and one of the things is the t-shirt. And then people saw people with the t-shirts, or they posted something in a group, or they saw it from the photos from the retreat, and then people started asking me about, oh, where can I get this t-shirt? And I didn't even think about it, and I thought, well, maybe I should, so that's how the idea started. And obviously I do that with a company where I don't have to worry about orders or anything like that. It's all automated, and then you can tick all the things that you want. And I'm like, oh, I could add this and I could add that, and all of a sudden I started adding all these things because it doesn't make any difference really to me. There's no real outlay, which makes it so crazy and beautiful for me that I can just offer that to people. And if somebody wants that, I didn't even think of posters until I saw that, now you're sharing this story with me. And I'm like, I am so grateful that somebody recommended this page to me and that I put it on. And then we added another design because you mentioned the sparks of joy before. And I love the sparks of joy. So for those of you who don't know what that is, it's actually a daily newsletter, but literally just that's why it's called Spark, like literally just 2 to 3 lines every single day, just something to give you that little spark of joy on a daily basis. And I'm actually going to share the link below. So for those of you who want to subscribe, please feel free. And on the website where you can subscribe to the Sparks of Joy, there's this little cartoon of a girl, and of course I named her Joy because I thought that's so suitable. And I thought, oh, Joy needs to be in our merchandise line. So there's a second design now. There's the love heart that you described with a little spider, and there's Joy as well. So I just love wearing joy, basically. So that's how it all came about. So I really love that you shared all that with me. Like, before we went live, I had no idea that you would come out with all these things. You are literally, I have to say it again, you're like an A+ student of Loving Love After Loss. I love having you in the movement. And I am just so grateful right now for everything that you shared. I really want to thank you for volunteering to share that literally from your perspective to the world. I wish you so much love, and I know that we will stay in touch anyway. I'm absolutely certain about that. And thank you so much for sharing. Is there any last words that you would like to say before we go?
Yeah. So I have this quote because there was a lot of sadness, and I was very sad. And I lived in a lot of sadness um, after I lost my husband, and then again especially when I lost my dad. And
Mm,
one quote that is my favorite. The author is E.K. And I love this quote, and it's, "Darling, for you to feel this sad, you must have once felt so happy, and you will find that feeling again, and it will all be beautiful." So when I had mentioned to you the other day in one of my video chats that, it's a beautiful journey, I never thought, who would ever think that a journey like this could be so beautiful? But it is.
mm.
It doesn't have to mean, it doesn't mean that we're going to find, it
I have
doesn't mean, yeah,
goosebumps.
I mean, when people will read that quote and think, it's not pertaining to a relationship. It could be pertain to anything. It just means that you are going to feel that way again. You're going to be happy again because you're going to learn
Mm,
to, just like your movement says, you're going to learn to love life again after loss, and
mm,
it's going to be beautiful.
mm.
And I look at the quote every day and I remember that, and because it's true, it will be. It can be a beautiful journey.
Valerie,
So it doesn't have to be sadness because our loved ones, that's not what they want
yeah,
for us. They don't want
yeah.
that. They want us to live that beautiful life that was intended for us.
Thank you so much. I literally have no other words to finish off here. You wrap this up so nicely, and I cannot thank you enough for sharing this so openly from your heart, straight from your heart to everybody else out there sitting on the fence, maybe being stuck in grief, maybe being stuck in sadness, not knowing how to ever move forward in their lives, and most importantly, how to allow joy back in. So I'm sending you so much love, Valerie. Thank you so much for sharing space with me here right now. And everybody else listening, thank you so much for being here. This is Valerie and Marie signing off. Bye for now.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.